Hello folks and welcome. So Zorin OS 16.3. This is the GNOME Desktop. I did a similar video not too long ago, but this one here is dedicated all to the file manager. So I'm not sure how much information you know about your file manager for Zorin. But probably a couple of tips in here you probably haven't seen. Maybe. It all depends on your experience level. Now, Zorin is a beginner system, but you can certainly grow with it. And I'll be showing you some tips and tricks today regarding that file manager, also known as Nautilus. So I will say welcome, folks. I am filming in a dark mode, and you can, of course, change your appearance with the light themes and etc. But I'm filming in 1920 by 1080, so you can adjust your YouTube player with that gear symbol accordingly if necessary, since a lot of them default to 460. That's a lot less screen res than I'm filming in. Alright, so hopefully you've had enough information here. Again, Zorin OS 16.3 GNOME Desktop. I'm going to use Alt and F4. I'm going to be showing you several tips today regarding the keyboard and computer mouse. Mostly the scroll wheel on it. And I'll be talking about the control key and the alt key with a lot of things. Maybe the plus or minus also. But in either case, you can probably see this dude is looking at his computer and he's probably wondering what's going on. He's maybe looking for information in his file manager. We're going to pretend. Wallpaperswide.com is where I got this if you're curious. You can actually see part of it right through the panel where it came from, because my panel has got a semi-transparency to it. So if you haven't seen any of my videos, I encourage that you subscribe. I have over 200 plus on all kinds of tips and tricks, and they're all keyword searchable, indexed. And all my videos also have timelines and chapters. And again, as a subscriber, you can watch that at your leisure. Part today, a couple of minutes tomorrow, a couple of 3 minutes, maybe the next day or whenever you have time. Now I'm going to continue. So I'm going to open up the file manager. So hamburger menu, this is just called files, but if we hit the website thing, we can also see the other name for it. And I'm going to let this refresh here for a second. And there we go. I'll enlarge that on the fly. I'll be doing the exact same thing as in the file manager. This is also known as Nautilus. Holding down the control key, scrolling back to 30%, up to 500. If you got a different web browser, you can perform the same trick. Like, let's say you're using Chromium, it'll zoom from, I believe, 25% to 500. So I'm going to use Alt and F4 to close that window. You can use Alt and F4 to close any window, for that matter. All right, so that's the name, the other name of that file manager. Now, I'm just going to bring this up briefly. There are 3 pages worth of shortcuts. Very common ones are Control X, Control C, Control V, and Control A, for instance, to cut, copy, paste, and select all. These are also the same commands as your Microsoft Windows. If you're a dual booter or if you are coming from the Microsoft world. 3 pages worth of these things. All right, so let me talk about this box, this window. This is a large surface area compared to the surface area of this little guy. So you can certainly do it this way. However, I can do it this way a little bit more efficiently. All I'm doing is making sure that my mouse pointer is below this line right here. Double click, double click. Now I'm going to click and hold this box, so it's kind of like moving it, but I'm going to push it straight up in the air and it goes full screen. I'm going to click and drag it down to resize it. You can also right click and resize the box. Okay. Resizing the icons can be done 3 ways. You can click in here, click the zoom, and then click back to go in the other way. You can also hold down your control key and go plus, 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 minus, 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 or you can do it my way. I usually use the scroll wheel on my computer mouse. I have a USB based computer mouse, but you can use a hardwired one for the same thing, as long as you got a scroll wheel on it. This is a tower computer that I'm running with a standard keyboard and a computer mouse. Holding down the control key, scrolling up, scrolling back, scrolling up, scrolling back, and in between. Get it to the size I want. Okay, I'm going to go full screen. So we have some images in here. Holding down the control key, I can scroll back and scroll forward. So I'll make them small. Probably can't see what that is, so I'm going to click it. Now it didn't open. Why is that? Because the behavior, not yours, of this file manager is set for double click. If you change that to single click, you're not going to get the same outcome. Just wanted to forewarn you. I make mention of this occasionally on my videos. All of my Linux distributions, I automatically switch to double click on all of them. It doesn't matter if I'm using Arch-based distributions or anything else. I don't like single click to open up items because they sometimes mistrigger on your mice. But that's just me. I prefer double click, and a lot of your Linux distributions also have that by default, but some do not. But also, this is a preference thing with some folks. But I'm just telling you, this is what I'm using. All right, with that said, I'm going to click on that once and hit the spacebar to get a preview. And you can see where that says wallpaperswide.com. I'll make this full screen. Now you can see it at the bottom. Spacebar to close. Spacebar to open, that's what I'm currently using for my wallpaper. Spacebar to close, click on that. Spacebar to open, spacebar to close. What am I doing here? I'm just doing a preview. Here's the butterfly. As soon as I click that, it goes full screen. There are no close buttons in here. Spacebar to close. Spacebar to open. You only see this, but it says open with image viewer. What was that? What would that mean? Double click. This is now image viewer. All right, so in image viewer, holding down your control key while scrolling does not enlarge this. However, holding down your alt key and scrolling on your computer mouse will. You can also manually click, and you can also do the presets. Okay, so you can see that's 2000%. Holding down the control key, I can also scroll back and forth, or holding down the control key, hitting minus, minus, minus. See, the scrolling didn't really help me, did it? No. That's because the scrolling doesn't work in image viewer, holding down the control key, but the alt key does. Holding down the alt key, I can blow this thing up and go well beyond 2000%. I can go well beyond 100% is what I'm getting at. Okay, and then if I let go of this, I can drag this in the center, holding down the alt key and zoom back in more. It's now pixelated, yes, I understand. It's at 200%. So right now, that's roughly 102%. All right, I'm going to use Alt and F4 to close. So the space bar just allows me to get a preview of these things. So if I'm cycling through my pictures, I'll make this larger for you. So here is a typical image that I know it's just a mushroom. And again, if I use the space bar, I can go full screen. Anyways, this mushroom, if I right click and do the properties, is 1920 by 1080, the same screen res that I'm filming in. Don't forget to check that if things don't look right to you. Because it's happened to me, a lot of the default players on the YouTube will default to 460. Anyways, the image next to it is a digital photo that my wife took with a strange name on it. I did this on purpose, just so you can see that you can name your photos with weird names like that. 15.jpg.jpg. On some other systems, that would probably not, that would not be a smart thing to do. But anyways, as you can see, it's like frozen tundra. But since this is a digital image, your file manager can also display other information if it comes with the photos. This was taken with an iPhone 10. You can probably see Apple across there. And then all the other particulars on the image. All right, I'm going to move over to documents now. So making this as big as I can, again, holding down the control key, I can make it dinky or big. This is a perfectly legit file. Both of these are identical. So if you were using a text editor and using regular text documents, this is a regular text document. and you're sending this to your friend that has a Microsoft machine or a Mac, I would rename that a.txt, for instance. Very simple to do. But this is allowed in Linux. And other Linux systems also understands that that is a text file. I can take this directly from one Linux distribution to another, and I do. This came off my demo folder right here. That's on this other hard drive. And I'll use that other hard drive also for another simulation in a minute. So we are in Documents. Sorry, lost my place for a second. All right, so I'm going to use the printer manual for my next example. It's a PDF. All right, so I'm going to open that up, and it opens wherever I left it off, so now you can see it. So now I'm going to hold down the Control key and scroll backwards to make them smaller. Then I'm going to scroll a couple of pages into this area here and take my mouse pointer and point at it. Hold down the Control key and then scroll forward. All right, and then I'm going to let go of the Control key to recenter that a little bit. And then I'm going to hold the Control key again and zoom in some more. I'm scrolling forward, I'm scrolling backwards. Okay, it's however fast your graphic card's responds. Okay. And now I'm going to let go of the Control key and I'm going to scroll down a couple more pages. But I'm going to now hold the Control key and scroll back out so I can scroll faster. Let's go take a look at this paper tray. Holding down the Control key, scrolling up. Now I can see that hand and these indicators in here. Let go of the Control key, recenter that. All right. Pull down, double click, use it the old-fashioned way. All right, I'm going to use Alt and F4 to close. And I'll pull that back a little bit. If you're a current dual booter, Microsoft maybe, or maybe you have somebody who has like Windows 11, if you use Alt and F4, it closes Windows. If you're on a laptop with like Windows 11, it may be function Alt F4. But also on a Windows 11 machine, if you don't have anything open, just your desktop, and you use Alt and F4, it will display the shutdown screen. Just if you're a dual booter. That's an FYI. So Alt F4 closes Windows. So I'm going to do that, Alt and F4. Okay, now I'm going to reopen that. So are you trying to copy files? All right, copying files from one device to another. So I have another device that's an internal hard drive, and we can also pretend this is a USB stick. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder on it. Just going to call it junk. And we're going to use that junk folder. But instead of me copying and pasting using only one window, I'm going to use two, just to let you see that we can also do this. And you can visually see it. Control N as in Nancy. And I will resize this a little bit smaller so you can see both boxes. Okay, so you can also maybe bounce it up against the wall and do it that way if you like. I'm going to go with this one over here. This is my internal hard drive. All right, first I'm going to pull some files out of it. So I have some wallpaper. This again is my demo hard drive, not the current one that I've been showing. So I have some, well, I got the same wallpapers that I have in this one here. So this is my one I've been showing you, and I'm going to resize that on the fly. And this one here is got more wallpapers, as you can see. Okay, so pretend this is a USB stick. I'm just going to use this empty download folder for the next example. And then I'm going to show you how to drag files back and forth. That's why I created an extra folder there. So selecting items. Now, first of all, your USB stick or thumb drive, or maybe it's a USB hard drive. How is it formatted? Did you format that with extension 4? Did you format that with FAT32, File Allocation Table 32? Very common thing to format USB thumb drives or sticks is FAT32. And why is that? Because you can share your files with Microsoft Windows, Macs, and Linux. That's why. So a common thing to share between those three operating systems may be photos. Hence, that's why I got wallpapers in here. Wait, photos or wallpapers, it doesn't matter. So whenever I go from a device, another location besides my booted up drive, and this is a USB stick, for instance, I can drag these images directly over. And I can also resize that independently from resizing this one. So far, so good. I can also multi-select by clicking and dragging, and then grabbing the group and throwing it over here. Okay, just giving you some examples. And I can also do the same on this box and delete. I can also do it in another way. So my next section, I'm going to grab these guys here, and then I'm going to hold down my control key and grab this row here, and then drag everybody over at the same time. So that's another way. I'm going to resize those. I can also use Control A to select all. Okay, I'm going back to my keyboard shortcuts on page 3 for a second. Control A is a select all. All right, and then I can hit the delete key on my keyboard to trash them, and then I can do an undo if I choose. I can also view this in a different way versus this one in a different way. 2 different panes. Okay, click that over here, go back to here. So again, if you're trying to move files back and forth, sometimes it's visually pleasing, but sometimes not so much practical. Some people prefer to do it this way. Let's use the same, actually, I'm sorry, let's, I'm going to use this folder right here to copy things. But I'm going to go with my operating system for Zorin here to copy a couple images. So I'm going to grab these 3. I'm going to right click and copy them, Control C. Then I'm going to click the other location, open up the drive, open up the folder, and paste them. They're still here, the originals. But I just made a copy of them on my pretend USB stick, or maybe it's a USB hard drive. So you can certainly do it that way. The only reason I brought up the 2 boxes is just to show you that method. Now, so let me drag these over to the downloads folder from here. But I'm going to do the 2 window thing just to make you understand something. Control N is in Nancy. And I will resize this box. And we're just going to do the minimize. I could make this, you know, side by side, but I'm not. I'm just going to do it this way. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to do this over to here. So I'm going to take these 3, highlight all of them. I can also use Control A. And once they're selected, I can drag them over, right? And it makes a copy of them. That's all I did was highlight those, drag them over. So, because I'm going from a hard drive or USB stick into my own home folders, downloads in this case, this will be a copy process. However, if I decided to go from another folder, we'll do it here, but since I already have these images, I will make another home folder. And we'll call that one also junk. Just as a temporary place to place these. So I'll open that. Now I'm going from my home junk folder to home downloads, or vice versa, it doesn't matter. But once you do this, it moves the actual file. It doesn't cut and paste. So far so good. I can also do a Control A and to a Control X, which is cut. Click in the screen and Control V. It's a cut and paste. I could also grab the group and just drag them over. All right, in either way, it's however you want to do the selections. Control A is a select all, just like that. If you only want to select 2 out of the images and you want 14 and 12, then click that, hold down the Control key and click that. Now it leaves this out and move those 2 over. Okay. Clicking and dragging across, you can do it this way. Now the only reason that this is doing this is because I'm going from my downloads folder in my home directory or home folder into my home directory or home folder junk, because that's considered part of my file system. Other than that, if I go to a location, and I decided to, where did I stick those things? Downloads? Okay. So let me just do it from here then. Let's do it this way. So if I drag these over here, that's not going to be a cut and paste. That's going to be a copy only. Whether I do one image or all three, it doesn't matter. That is literally copying that from here to here. Because I went from my download folder into an external device. It could be an internal device, but nonetheless, I'm going not from my home folders. I'm going outside my home folders. Let's just leave it at that. And in this case, we'll pretend that's a USB stick, or an internal hard drive, or an external hard drive. Let's put it that way. That's making a copy. So if I put this back, it's going to complain, right? Because it's a duplicate. I'm going to do a skip. And I'm going to delete that one here. And then I can grab a hold of all three and do this, and that'll be a copy. If I meant to move them, then I would do it this way. So let's delete that temporarily from downloads. And this is the pretend USB stick. Highlight those, do a cut, and then click in here and do a paste. That would be cutting and pasting, or getting rid of them over here on the USB device, over to here, or getting rid of them on the other hard drive into this hard drive. Does that make sense? Okay. So manipulating files can be done several ways. Selecting them also can be done several ways. If you are wanting to select this group here, you can click and drag straight up. It'll highlight those four. And if you are wanting to add something else to the group, I'll do these three. Hold down your control key and then click and drag through those. Now 9, 20, and 31 are lit up, and 5, 15, 26, and 15, 862 are lit up. And I can literally copy those now, or cut them. You can also do that this way. Drag this, go up here, and then over to here, and then let go of them, and then hold down your control key and deselect the wallpapers, and deselect the mushroom and this mushroom, and then make your copies. There are many ways to manipulate files. Don't forget, you can also create folders. That's a Shift Control N as in Nancy. Control A, select all. All right, pulling them back down, back to the home folder. Close. Thank you for watching.